Wow, I think the bass player was in the room when they mixed this one.
Hey everybody, this is TJR.
This is Superfan.
And for some reason this particular release kind of went past my radar. I mean, I was aware that it was coming soon.
Yeah.
But then it happened and I kind of just didn't notice or realize that it had until, of course, this week when I picked it up. And I'm talking about the 40th anniversary of INXS.
Or INXS.
INXS, as it was sometimes referred to back when you worked at the record store. Did customers actually call it that?
Yes, they did.
Okay. But INXS, Listen Like Thieves, 40th anniversary re-release. This has been released in basically 2 formats. There is, of course, this 2 CD version. There is a LP and 3 CD version. And there is just a single LP version as well.
Yeah.
Now, besides the fact that there are bonus tracks and live tracks, there is a new 2025 remix of the album. And this remix is from Giles Martin and Paul Hicks. We're going to talk about the remix in a moment. But one thing about this release, once I got this and looked a little closer, I decided I didn't want, the expanded edition for this. This CD was fine, and it is fine for me.
Yeah.
To have this version here.
You weren't really.
I like this album.
You were into the hits.
I mean, I like this album. I wanted to hear the remix. That was the primary thing. And these type of smaller deluxe editions are an abbreviation. In most cases, they're usually an abbreviation of the bigger Super Deluxe Edition. I found out that the bonus tracks between this and the 3 CD LP edition are competing versions. In other words, this 2 CD set has bonus tracks that the Super Deluxe Edition does not have.
Well, that's messed up.
And yeah, it is messed up, and vice versa. Especially, if you bought the Super Deluxe Edition, most of the time when you buy a Super Deluxe Edition, the idea is that you're getting all the extras when you're the completist and you want everything. And if you buy just the 2 CD version, you're getting a more abbreviated version. And now, the Super Deluxe Edition, of course, has the remix on CD. It has it on LP. Then it has a CD of bonus tracks and a CD of a live concert. Now, this 2 CD edition has some of those live tracks, a portion of them, some of them, but not all of them, and that's as it should be. It's a smaller version, a cheaper version.
Yeah.
But I took a look and compared their track lists side by side before sitting down to make this video, and I found out that yes, indeed, it's true. This 2 CD version will have bonus tracks that are not on the Super Deluxe Edition. And that to me is messed up for the people who bought the Super Deluxe Edition. I'm not one of them, but I think that's messed up for them.
Yeah.
When you buy a Super Deluxe Edition, you should be able to get it with the idea that gives you everything. You don't have to go out and buy this in addition if you're a completist, because you don't need an extra CD of the remix. You don't need that. You don't need repeat tracks of the live tracks. You don't need that. And I just think that's really messed up.
It's inconsiderate to your fan base.
Yeah, it's real inconsiderate. So I just wanted to first put that out there. Yeah, I just think that's messed up. At the very least, they could put both on streaming, but only the 3 CD LP version is on streaming. Of course, basically that means you've got the 3 CDs in there because the LP is just the remix on LP, which you've already got on CD1. Yeah, I just think that's really messed up. But at any rate, though, with that aside,
just our humble opinion.
just our humble opinion. With that aside, though, wanted to just briefly touch on the remix here. And the first thing I'm going to say is that we both noticed the difference within like the first 10 seconds. We both were like, whoa, this is totally different.
Yeah.
We didn't need to do any A to B comparisons to hear subtle differences. It was very obvious.
There were no subtle differences.
I have a feeling that a lot of people, if they haven't heard this remix yet, and they're familiar with the original, which, of course, why would you listen to the remix if you're not familiar with the original? I have a feeling that the initial instinct is going to be like to reject it.
Where's the bass?
Because for the first few seconds, my instinct was to reject it. And that's just simply because we get familiar with a certain mix after hearing it for, decades. And then when we hear something that's radically different, our first instinct is usually to push away and say no. However, after I let it keep playing and listen to a few more tracks, I kind of got what I feel they were going for. I have nothing to corroborate this. My personal feeling is that, first of all, they kind of stripped away a lot of the 80s sheen, what I call 80s production, that sheen that was put on 80s records, and gave it a more of a live sound. I kind of feel like, I never got to see INXS live, but I kind of felt like this is more what they would have sounded like live, without all that record production sheen on it. More raw is how I felt. I don't know how if you felt something similar.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. I think I saw them back in the day. It's terrible.
You saw so many concerts back then. You were a concert bunny.
I was.
Back then, yeah. Your connections with the record store, though, got you a lot of opportunities.
This is true.
To say the least. Me, not so much. But yeah, I really felt like they were trying to really kind of strip it down more and give you more of a feeling of what they would have sounded like live, what these might have sounded like if you were hearing them live. Of course, now what I haven't heard yet is the actual live tracks that are actually on this to compare it. But that's my first reaction to hearing the remix, which we just listened to literally a few minutes ago, and then said, okay, let's talk about this. But I'd be curious to know what you think. Now, this is all on streaming too. You can listen to it on streaming. And again, if you're at all familiar with this album and the hits, you're going to notice it from the moment you play the opening track. You're just going to like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. What? It's going to hit you. But I would say give it a moment. Don't immediately reject it. Let it play through for a couple songs and kind of get the feel. Again, this is all going to also depend on how you feel about 80s production. You may say, no, you might say I like it when it's more raw sounding. You might also be the type that says, no, I like that 80s sheen. I like that 80s production. So after listening to it for the first time, I really feel like, yeah, this is an alternate listening experience, in my opinion. My first reaction was to reject it, but after, like I said, after letting it sit in a bit, I began to say, yeah, this is a certainly much bassier. I think we both agree. Certainly much bassier, but definitely a more raw version. And again, I feel like it's trying to make it feel more like it's a live performance. You're in the room during a live performance. I feel like it's more like that.
Definitely.
Anyways, though, let us know your thoughts if you've heard this, what you think. Do you like the remix? Do you prefer the original version? Do you like both? Share your thoughts. As always, if you like these videos, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And thank you, patron supporters. Patron supporters do receive content not available on this channel. And we'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.